Miles take it in overtime, 2-1 the fight. Well, this being Thursday, we've reached the part of the show where normally we pick a giant to play Know Your Opponent. But since Big Blue has a bye this Sunday, we hit up last week's hero, Michael Strahan, to see not what he knows about his opponent, but what he knows about his Giants.
I just came in from outside. It's real cold. My brain is frozen.
All right, we'll find out how frozen it is. First question. How much did Tim Mara pay as a franchise fee to start this team in 1925?
$500.
Yes. What Giant player acted in an off-Broadway play this offseason?
Tiki Barber.
You got it.
To pull one and demands money. He's targeting white teenage boys between the ages of 14 and 17, and he strikes between 3:30 in the afternoon and 6 at night.
Yeah, schools around here, a lot of teenagers. So, I guess he could look at that, knows a lot of teenagers around here, so maybe he targeted in this area purposely.
So far, the suspect has grazed one of the victim's arms with a knife. The neighborhoods that he's hitting range from 79th Street to 94th, between 3rd Avenue and 5th Avenue. This teenager from Hunter College says he's more aware of his surroundings, especially since a friend was robbed last week in an unrelated attack.
He was just like a regular guy, nice, like clothes, and come up to her with a knife, put a knife to her neck.
Now, cops are warning teenagers to be careful when they are walking home after school, especially if you have to stay after for any extracurricular activities. Please be careful, especially when it's getting dark by 5 o'clock at night. Now, the suspect is described as a black male, 25 years old. He's about 5 feet 10 inches tall, 180 pounds. He has brown eyes, but listen up here. One eye is dramatically lighter than the other one. Reporting live on the Upper East Side, I'm Linda Schmidt, Fox 5 News. John and Rosanna, back to you.
Linda, thank you. A water main break in the Bronx turned part of the IRT subway into a canal. Service was stopped on the number 6 line between Manhattan and the Bronx for 3 hours during the afternoon rush hour. It took that long to fix the break at Bruckner and 141st Street. And people shopping at a clothing store on the Upper East Side got more than they bargained for. Police tell us this Volvo was trying to make a turn when it was hit by an Oldsmobile, sending the Volvo sailing into the store Luca Luca at 78th and Madison. No one was hurt and no one was charged. The cops say it was an accident.
Well, it's pretty rare when the mayor's former police commissioner agrees with his current one, but they will both tell you that somebody came up with a really ridiculous and dangerous idea. As Christopher Jones reports, it could have put a killer right next to you on the subway.
On the face of it, the plan was simple. Send out free Metro cards to fugitives who are murderers and violent felons. Then, when the bad guys use the Metro card in the subway, they get caught because little do they know, but the free Metro card is actually a student pass that can only be used at certain hours and lights up a yellow signal, at which point the cops move in and nab the fugitive. But there are problems.
What happens if the perpetrator maybe looks young and looks like a student? We're walking into a problem there. What if that perpetrator, who obviously is not an upstanding citizen, then takes that card and gives it to a family member or an unknowing person on his block? Then the police officer has a safety issue, but a job issue. We grabbed the wrong person, CCRB complaints are made, and then we're under fire once again.
It wasn't just the PBA complaining about this thing. Former police commissioner William Bratton called it the most seriously flawed plan he'd heard of in 25 years of police work. And as the day progressed, other critics hopped on the bandwagon. One of them, Rudy Giuliani.
And it appears as if the execution of it was very different than the plan, and the execution had some mistakes attached to it. So there is no longer a sting. It's over.
And then, surprise, the police commissioner himself condemned this thing.
This plan, as it was executed by the Transit Bureau, is something I don't agree with. It's not how I envisioned the plan when it was described to me.
So now that just about everyone agrees this was a bad idea, the mayor, he didn't know anything about it. The police commissioner, this wasn't the way he conceived of it. This had to be someone else's idea. This thing is stung, and now that someone else might get stung too. Christopher Jones, Fox 5 News.
One of the jurors who caused a deadlock in the subway pusher trial had a secret until now. Octavio Ramos was convicted of resisting arrest and harassment after an argument with his landlord. He's supposed to be sentenced in 2 weeks. Mr. Ramos was one of 2 jurors who believed Andrew Goldstein was insane when he pushed Kendra Webdale under a subway train. It's unusual for anyone who's been convicted of a crime and awaiting sentence to be allowed on a jury, but it's not illegal. The Manhattan DA is looking into this.
Well, it looks like the last seconds of Flight 990 were a lot more terrifying than we thought. And experts will know more about it if they can get to those black boxes. That hunt has started again. Bob O'Brien is at the Newport Naval Base in Rhode Island right now. Bob.
John, an expected break in this windy weather by tomorrow has put this crash investigation back in business, and Navy sailors right now are on their way back out to the Atlantic Ocean crash site. The Navy tested the deep drone remotely operated vehicle that will try to find and retrieve the flight data and cockpit voice recorders from the Egypt Air 767. The USS Grapple and another Navy ship left the Newport Navy base Thursday afternoon, headed for the crash site about 60 miles away. The Coast Guard released this video of the crew that first heard the electronic pings emitted by the two so-called black boxes lying on the ocean floor 250 feet beneath the surface.
They're supposed to be at 1 pulse per second, but since there's 2 of them, they're off just a little bit. You hear it go ding, 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 ding.
Another Coast Guardsman let us hear the pings.
Yeah.
New radar data shows the plane began a sudden 17,000-foot dive from 33,000 feet to 16,000 feet, where it suddenly began to climb back to 24,000 feet at a speed of 690 miles an hour, perhaps breaking the sound barrier. Then the aircraft plunged again to 10,000 feet, where it apparently broke into many pieces that showed up on radar screens as primary targets, falling metal. The families of those killed were briefed on the final moments of their loved ones' lives. Michael Cedillos says her 71-year-old grandmother, Toby Seidman, was an adventurous person traveling with 3 of her best friends. She still has hopes her grandma died happily.
My grandmother was a world traveler. She had been to Tibet and walked with Maasai warriors and toured the Taj Mahal. She had been everywhere and done everything, and I like to think that given her sense of adventure, she was going, whee!
The Navy hopes the high seas and high winds will subside long enough during the daylight hours Friday for the 2 black boxes to be retrieved, perhaps ending some of the mysteries of this killer crash. At the Naval Base in Newport, Rhode Island, Bob O'Brien, Fox 5 News. Rosanna, back to you.
Thank you, Bob. There's still a lot of questions in the crash that killed Payne Stewart and 5 other people last week. The cockpit voice recorder was damaged, but now has been repaired. It doesn't have any voices on it, but it did tape some sounds from the final moments of the flight. A spokesman for the National Transportation Safety Board says those sounds could help them find out what happened.
Well, authorities in Connecticut are telling us that some people at a synagogue are mighty lucky. They might have been burned alive if 2 hate mongers had carried out their plan. Thankfully, these clowns were scared away before they could torch the building. Bill Rappley found heavy security in Norwalk today.
Police are not what you'd expect to see at a temple with a nursery school in the back, but there are cops and security all over Temple Bethel because Tuesday night, 2 men with Molotov cocktails were interrupted as they were about to throw the bombs at the synagogue.
You feel really nervous. You think that you've chosen the nursery school because you think it's the best place for your child, but then you're afraid to bring your child there. You know, you don't know when something is going to happen next.
Police have some leads, and they say they are intent on solving this case.
Yeah, this is not a prank situation. It's a very serious incident that people could have been injured or killed or extensive property damage. This is quite a step from vandalism.
And this is one of the synagogues where medical waste decorated with anti-Jewish slurs was left this summer. Authorities have not connected that event with this week's. Today, in a series of meetings, temple leaders met with the rabbi to talk about security.
Some of the things we're talking about are security measures here at our synagogue and what we can do to improve them, and that's been an ongoing discussion.
He says everyone in the congregation is taking this very seriously, as are the police. They sure are taking it seriously because this is just the latest in a series of escalating anti-Semitic acts. There was in September the medical waste in front of the synagogues, and before that, in a Jewish cemetery, headstones were defaced with swastikas. Now, police say they're not aware of any hate groups in this town, but if one is started up, they intend to find it. In Norwalk, Bill Rappley, Fox 5 News.
A mother in Brooklyn is beside herself. Her little boy is gone, and she doesn't know if she'll ever get to see him again. Craig Treadway has the story. He's in Williamsburg right now. Craig, what's going on?
Well, Rosanna, police believe this 10-year-old boy is with his father. Unfortunately, that's not where that young man is supposed to be. In fact, police are saying that they believe the child is safe, but right now his mother is heartbroken.
Ruben, if you're out there, please bring the baby home. bring Ruben.
Mary Beth Pena just wants her estranged husband, Ruben Pena Sr., to bring back their son, Ruben Jr., who was abducted from school on November 1st and hasn't been seen since.
There is an order of protection against him having any contact with his child or his wife. At this point, we do not believe that the child is in any danger, but we would like the safe return of Ruben to his natural mother and grandmother.
Despite that order of protection, police say Pena has been walking his son to Junior High School 50 every morning and picking him up after school for the past couple of months, with no complaints from the family until November 1st.
Prior to the father picking the child up in front of the school, he has an altercation with the child's mother and her present companion. The altercation was at one point a little physical, nothing threatening at all, and physically threatening at all, but it was a little physical, and this sort of raised his feelings that the child wasn't being taken care of properly. So he decided to take the child.
Mrs. Pena says all will be forgiven if Pena returns the child.
I'm not going to press charges or nothing.
Ruben Pena Jr. was last seen wearing a gray and blue sweatshirt, blue jeans, and black sneakers. And the 90th Precinct detectives would like your help in solving this case. If you have any information, they ask you to call them. It's 718-963-5369. We're live in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Craig Treadway, Fox 5 News. John and Rosanna, back to you.
All right, thanks, Craig. Well, what do you think? Are we going to get dumped on this winter?
Don't go away. Nick puts it all on the line later on.
Also, did you ever hear of a boxer named Axel Schultz? Well, nobody else did either. So how did he end up fighting George Foreman? That's a big part of a new indictment. And we have this.
Good afternoon, housekeeping.
Yo, it's housekeeping. Is that any way to knock on a door? Penny says she can do any job in New York. Tonight, watch her work as a hotel maid. Mary.
Hard act to follow, Rosanna. Now, if you think a quiet tree-lined street is every family's dream come true, well, think again. There's one piece of paradise in Manhattan where residents have to padlock themselves in at night. We'll take you there in our hidden camera investigation, coming up next on the 10 o'clock news.
A woman that works nearby in a deli just told me there is a girl. She'd like to meet you. So I called her up. But on the phone, she asked me how I look like. Imagine me describing this face. Look what I got. With this face. I got a beautiful wife. We are buying a house and life looks good.
Zoran and Lena, new low-rate mortgage. Astoria Federal, putting people first.
Feeling greedy? Check your change. A couple of these pennies could pay for a whole vacation. Don't spend a cent till you find out what it's really worth. Later on the 10 o'clock news.
Going in a straight line is one issue, and most people, when they think of speed and power plants, think of the fact is you're going fast and slow, and you're turning in the process of doing it. The new Ultima has been redesigned with that in mind. We refined the suspension. We reduced the body roll. We goosed the engine. Technically speaking, we gave the car some
By land.
He will succeed. He's the best we have.
By sea.
He can push himself harder, longer than any normal man.
By air.
Always have an escape plan.
He's always in his element.
Who are you?
Pierce Brosnan is James Bond. Can't you just say hello like a normal person? The World Is Not Enough, rated PG-13. Starts November 19th.
Good morning. Ow. Who said that? Hey, right up here, next to this poor neglected jug of orange juice.
You're a leftover ham sandwich.
That's correct, and don't you realize that the American Cancer Society says foods like Florida orange juice may help in the fight against cancer?
The American Cancer Society says that? How do you know all this?
What else am I going to do? I sit up here and I read the labels. You know, the light goes on, the light goes off. That's pretty much my day.
100% pure Florida orange juice. Are you drinking enough?
What's your first order of business?
I think I'm gonna make a trade.
Phil Jackson arrived in L.A. today. You got a wish list? Dream team?
I'm still doing my research.
Did you just wake up, pal?
I don't know who it's going to be.
You guys don't know anything about Phil Jackson. I drive him.
Hi, Mr. Jackson. So I heard about a trade.
Hot pager. That's probably him now. How you doing? I was just wondering, you could throw me a bone and just, you know anything about the trade?
I'm gonna make it right now.
T.D. Waterhouse, Remember New York Stock Exchange.
Make the call. Come on.
You know, there's at least one neighborhood in our town where you have to look twice to see if that person on the street is a man or a woman.
But the people who live there will tell you it only takes a glance to tell what they're up to. No good. They're fighting to save their neighborhood. And Mary Garafello is just back in the newsroom with some amazing pictures of what goes on there at night. Mary.
That's right, Rosanna. Well, they call it the meat market, and there's a good reason for it. The West Village may have become très chic, but that's only during the day. At night, it's overrun by transvestite prostitutes. Some residents say these hookers are turning their G-rated neighborhoods into X-rated. We hit the streets, too, in our hidden camera investigation.
So what are you doing?
Working. You want to get a job? Working.
Well, life is really like a living hell. It's become a circus.
I'm a 24/7 woman.
Yeah.
I live as a woman every day.
But you were a man, right? If there was ever a place where hell meets heaven, it's here in Manhattan's meatpacking district. During the day, this peaceful section.
Start your neighborhood. This is for you to go down there. No, you're messing up my goddamn.
Dad, he's right. That's Larry Prince. He was fighting mad then, and he's still fighting today.
Larry, is it worse than it was when I was here the first time, or is it as bad, or is it different?
It's different. It was much better for several years, and then it got very much worse again this summer.
We wanted to see just how bad it really is, so we went undercover.
You dated.
What?
You dated.
It didn't take long for us to get up close and personal, and even propositioned.
I do everything for the right price. You don't want to You want to get a job? Be wonderful to try it. Nice experience.
We spent several nights watching and listening to them in action, and it was business as usual. They were loud and sometimes aggressive. Our cameras caught this one flashing some skin. Cars drive by at all hours and honk their horns. It's 3 a.m. now, and other cars keep cruising by, waiting for just the right moment to pick up. This prostitute is even chasing a car. Even police cars don't deter them. Residents say the new chic boutiques and restaurants in the meatpacking area are pushing the street workers into their quiet neighborhoods.
I've actually caught them having sex acts going on right down in the stairwell. And of course they defecate and relieve themselves there. I've had to clean that up.
Longtime resident Tom Doyle says last year, one even threatened him with a knife and another pepper sprayed him right in the face.
It was horrendous. I mean, you can't believe when you're hit with a spray like that. I mean, it feels like the top of your head's coming off and the eyes are burning, so, you know.
We caught up with some transgender sex workers, and they told us they're all condemned for the actions of a small minority.
They chasing out of the neighborhood because they think we all the same.
Do you have sex for money?
Sometimes.
No, I cannot answer that question.
Some even admit they're the ones to blame.
What do you think about the residents complaining about what's happening here?
I mean, it's their neighborhood. They live here, so I mean, we're the ones who are wrong for doing it. But
you admit it.
Yeah, but I mean, when you have to make money, you have to make money.
It doesn't matter to you? You wouldn't want to go to another area?
I mean, there are other areas that you can go to, but I mean, this is a nice, quiet area, so.
Have you ever had sex outside in this neighborhood?
Oh, yeah.
For money?
Mm-hmm.
You do? And who are your Johns?
Different people.
How are you going about stopping this exactly?
Well, we've done different things at different points in time. What the police department is doing now is they've instituted a program called Operation Losing Proposition, where vehicles are being confiscated by Johns that pick up prostitutes and have sex with them in their car.
Operation Losing Proposition doesn't seem to be winning. In the meantime, Tom Doyle and other residents are taking matters into their own hands, installing video cameras and alarms. But so far, the problem is only getting worse.
Sex is probably like $200, and a job is like $60.
Show me how you sell it. Just show me how you sell it. How would you sell it? You're selling it, okay.
Yeah, you show it.
Now, residents are also angry that their neighborhood is being advertised in gay magazines as a prime location for transvestite prostitutes, and that people from all over the world arrive.